Hi.
So I'm Sanam Salati-Ursic with New England Prestige Realty.
And I'm Kelly Turner with Total Mortgage.
We're on location.
Yes. Somewhere new today.
Yeah. And today we're going to talk about some objections, right?
Common objections. Most homeowners, if they have an objection, they're pretty much always the same.
Yeah, they are. And we keep, actually, an article has been written about some of the most common objections, and we hear it like as we work with clients on a regular basis too.
Absolutely.
One of the ones that we hear like so consistently is there's so much uncertainty in the market today, right? So there's banks falling apart, the economy is just really unstable, the stock market is very volatile. Does it even make sense to consider making a move at this point?
Sure. So first off, that's valid.
Yeah.
Okay. There is a lot of uncertainty in the market. But the two sort of responses that I always have to that are, number one, if you had asked me that a year ago and I told you to wait, where would you be now? If you had asked me that 2 years ago and I had told you to wait, where would you be now? You can't predict what's coming. And honestly, the volatility is sort of always there in one
direction
or another.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of always there. And your housing needs are not dictated by external forces.
That cannot be reiterated like strong enough. Like, family members chirp into people's ears, it's doomsday, this is happening, that is happening, but you always need a roof over your head.
Yeah, absolutely. And what happens in the market happens, but as long as you're in a good financial situation and you're making good choices for you and your family, it's never really a bad time.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. So the other thing that we're hearing is interest rates they're not really high, but they're high compared to what we were used to during the pandemic, which was also a fluky number. But I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait until the interest rates drop.
You and everyone else. That's the real answer to that, is you and everyone else. The problem with waiting for interest rates to drop is inventory is limited. And that's a situation that's going to be here for a while. It's not going away anytime soon. So right now there's less competition because there are a lot of people waiting. Once those rates do start to go down, we're going to see an influx of buyers in the marketplace. And what is going to happen to them?
Oh my God, the prices are going to go spike back up. But the reality is too, even when we do see like a shift in the interest rates, can we expect the 2 to 3% interest rates?
No, truthfully, that was a once in a lifetime fluke, hopefully, because right, we never really want to go through those
That's
years
a horrible
of
thing for the
COVID
economy.
Pandemic again.
Yeah.
It was not good for the economy, and the inflation that we have right now is a direct result of financial choices made during those 2 years.
Yes,
we don't want that.
No.
And right now we are still beneath the 30-year benchmark for interest rates. So interest rates now are lower than if we were to average out all of the interest rates over the last 30 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So yes, they don't feel great comparatively to the last few years.
So we need to stop comparing.
We need to stop comparing. and also, if you were to compare current interest rates to current market rents,
yes,
it is just sort of where the world is at right now.
Agreed. And they say you don't live in your interest rate, but you do live in your home. So if it makes sense, then you move forward.
So another common objection is prices are going to go down much more than they already have. Should I wait? I don't want to overpay. We hear this all the time. I don't want to feed the frenzy. I don't want to overpay.
Yeah. Nobody wants to overpay, including me, as your realtor, right? And I'm going to kind of echo what you said at the beginning of this conversation, which is if I told you to wait, where would you be now? And the reality is inventory is very low. We are still seeing historically low inventory. And, Connecticut and Massachusetts are kind of lagging. So the rest of the country has kind of stabilized. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing more average days on the market, hovering a little bit longer, which is great because we do need some sort of balance.
Yeah.
But the reality is what we're expecting based on all the predictions is that we're going to stabilize and then see your average 3 to 5% appreciation.
That's not prices going down.
Yeah, no. So where you might see prices going down and it's misleading is when sellers decide that they're going to price their house way outside of today's market. And when they do that in any market, what ends up happening is it ends up sitting, and buyers recognize there's no value. And so then they don't move forward. And then you see the price adjustments. Outside of that, we're still competing in multiple bid situations.
I would 100% agree with that. All of the houses sitting are outliers.
Yes.
They're not the norms. They're the outliers. And again, it's almost always either an overpricing issue
Yes.
or a property condition issue that
Yes.
has something that people are struggling to get over.
Yeah.
But there are sellers out there that are kind of like, I'm just going to price it really high and we'll see what happens.
Or yeah, I'm gonna put it on the market, and if I don't get what I want, then I'll just take it off and sell it in the future. And it's like, well,
If you're not going to get what you want now,
yeah,
probably
we're
not
not
gonna
gonna reconsider our whole strategy.
Yeah, exactly. Another one, I would sell, but where would I go?
Yeah. So the beautiful thing about COVID is we started thinking way outside the box, right? And so all these creative solutions popped up, from lease back opportunities to delayed closing opportunities. And in your world, bridge loans,
Bridge
they're
loans,
back.
other loan products that
Yeah.
are a little bit more unique.
They may not be the prettiest, but the reality is if you want to get from here to here, and it's the easiest path, it's a temporary solution to a long-term, like, amazing future.
Yeah, sometimes you can do it. And I think that's exactly it. There are solutions, there's things that you can do. I have yet in this market to have a borrower be homeless. I haven't. It hasn't happened yet. I have borrowers, sometimes we're worried,
Yes.
but a solution comes up again, rent back, staying with family,
Yeah.
a rental situation, like
Yeah.
something always works out.
Yeah, I've had clients, including myself, who've ended up staying with family, and it's been a really beautiful thing, you know. So yeah,
There are options.
there are options.
So my last one is I only want to work through the listing agent, and we hear that one a lot these days.
We do. So what I would say is you as a buyer need to interview agents and pick the one that is going to empower you as a buyer to make you feel comfortable and confident, to make sure that they're available to meet your needs. You know, when I act as a listing agent and I have a borrower or a buyer that wants to work with me directly, like, I love it because this is all I do. I'm a full-time real estate broker. Like, I do nothing but real estate. I'm well versed in it. I train in it every single day, and I'm a little bit of a control freak. So I cross my T's, I dot my I's. And so I feel like, okay, if a buyer is buying my listing, I can help manage the whole process and get us to the closing table smooth and easy. The challenge is a lot of buyers feel that if they go to the listing agent directly, that they're entitled to some sort of discount.
A deal. I'm going to get a
benefit.
deal. And
Yeah.
truthfully, it's about the agent.
Yes.
It's not about you getting the deal. If the agent and you mesh and it works well, then it
Yeah.
works. If it's not a great agent,
Yeah.
or it's not an agent who is being ethical, or if it's not an agent who, some agents do struggle with representing both sides.
Some
They
people
have-
won't do it.
Yeah, they have a hard time being
Yeah.
impartial, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
So that's really what it comes down to. But I have had some transactions that, I have buyers who are insistent upon using listing agents, and then it doesn't always go well because sometimes it's an inexperienced agent, sometimes it's a not knowledgeable agent. There's a lot of places for it to go south. So it has to be about, does that agent work with you? Do you mesh well?
Yeah.
Are you comfortable with them? You're not going to get a deal because you used a listing agent.
Absolutely not. When I take a listing, my contract is between the seller on what I'm getting paid at my commission on, and what I co-broke with the other agent, that's all negotiated up front with my seller. So, and with that, I'm not negotiating my commissions, because why should I? I'm doing my job. I'm not doing less of a job.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So that's it.
We hope that helps with some common objections that you might have.
And if you have objections or questions that that are floating through your head, let us know. We're happy to chime in.
Happy to help.
Have a great one.
Bye.